I have here with me two special guests who have decade of experience in marketing and technology. Founder and CEO of Prizwiz, Mr. Shiv Shankar, and founder and CTO of Prizwiz, Pradeep Venkat. Welcome to the show, guys. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Prasad, for having us.
Thank you, Prasad.
So let's start with Prizwiz. So tell us more about Prizwiz, the story behind Prizwiz, because you, Pradeep, you came from tech background. You have like decades of experience, and Mr. Shiv, you came from sales and marketing background. So how did you guys meet, and how did you come up with this idea of Prizwiz?
Right. So I'll take a go at that. So when it comes to how did Shiv and I meet, we happen to be friends that live in the same apartment community in Bangalore. We've known each other for a little over 7 years now. And yeah, I mean, we both had our careers. We left abroad. We came back to India thanks to the pandemic at around the same time. And in one of those conversations, we shared a common passion. So the story of Prizwiz um, is not about trying to build a product that is going to be potentially a money making engine, or we wanted to go after a problem statement, right? Typically, when you start a company, it's very important to define your problem statement, right? We identified a unique problem which personally impacted our lives, and we were highly convinced it impacts everybody else as well, right? So today, everybody, thanks to the pandemic, thanks to the ever-growing e-commerce market, the choices, the convenience, everybody is shopping online. A study on IBEF basically indicates by the year 2025 there will be well over 240 million transacting shoppers in India, if not more, if not more. I already think we hit the number, but well, it's a statistic, right? So, when so many people are shopping online, what do you lose? What do you lose when you shop? Us being Indians, we're always price conscious, aren't we? Right? Always price conscious. What do you have when you go into a retail environment? You could go shop to shop and check out कि ये कितना में मिलेगा, वो कितना में मिलेगा, correct? And you have an opportunity to bicker with the shopkeeper saying मेरे को 2,000 कम कर लो, 3,000 कम कर लो, whatever, right? That opportunity never exists in an e-commerce world, does it? You don't. Amazon quotes a price, take it or leave it. Now, if we were to give you a choice at least of knowing what is the best price, you nevertheless want a product. Your shopping is going to have to be a shopping. There is no choice. However, if you're able to get it at a price which is significantly better, and that again customized down to you, would you take it or not, right? And that exactly was a thought process. And believe it or not, right? Shiv and I searched high and low. There are far too many price comparison engines and whatnot. Um, but the problem is basically everybody, whether it's Prasad, Shiv, Pradeep, go search for a product. It just happens to be the same listing, same price for everybody. And that's not true. That's never a true statement, correct? I mean, you're individual. I mean, you have choices. Everybody is a person with options. The cards I hold are very different to the card Shiv holds, to what you hold. Then why should my price be the same? What's wrong there, right? Something's definitely wrong there. And the more
Right.
we looked into that problem, it became really clear to us that unfortunately there wasn't a ready-made solution that's going to fit this bill. And in an ever-growing market, ever-growing customer base, you would have a mix of naive customers and expert customers who are all looking to save money, correct? There has to be a parity. There has to be a convenience element that allows you to go find your real price in a snap, correct?
Right.
And that is the thought. That is what drove us to create Prizwiz.
Wow. Great. So it's all about finding the right price for individuals. Like there are so many products and people like the decision making of whether buying or not is all about prices. And what you guys are offering is transparency in that prices, maybe fair pricing, if I have to put it that way.
I'll sum this up for you in three words, if that right. What Indians are used to is called MRP. Now what we should be looking forward to is YRP, your real price. And
Right.
that is the mantra Prizwiz is going for.
Yeah. Brilliant. So my question to you is regarding Prizwiz, subsequent to what you explained in this segment, is like how user will benefit it. Do you how they will benefit from Prizwiz? Do you have app and a website from where they can benefit and how Prizwiz can add value to them?
Yeah. So Prizwiz is a mobile app. It is a very intuitive mobile app. which is very easy to use. We built the app ground up with an intention to make it user friendly, so that anybody, who is either naive or an expert, would get the information in very little time, right? And so it is a mobile app. And
Okay.
what happens, to what Pradeep said, I just like to add, when in a shopping journey, what happens is the user goes around looking for information, but there are certain information that is not available to the user, because of which they are driven to make certain decisions which are uninformed. As simple as, the offers that are currently running on my cards. There are at least 50 to 60 different offers running across 7 to 8 different online stores at any given time. And for a user to go look into all of that information and figure out what that real price meant for them is a very complex activity. And we wanted to simplify it because we experienced it and we realized it was a big problem. And we spent hours, many users do this. They spend hours trying to do the research. Still, because the offers are so complex, offers are not very straightforward. They miss out on the details, and
Right.
this leads to ignorant decision making. The decision they make, sometimes they lose out on the savings that is available to them, but just they didn't use it because they didn't know. And we
Right.
wanted to eliminate this ignorance. We wanted to empower the user with critical data about, hey, if you have a card, these are the offers running on your cards across these stores, and we will help you merge all of that in a few seconds,
Right.
and show you what your real price is. And
Wow.
in fact, every price that Prizwiz generates is unique to that user.
Okay. And so you mentioned about cards, and I have also seen in your app that you are asking for credit card. So how safe it is? Because nowadays people are worried about entering their details, and even RBI is also coming up with new guidelines regarding cards. So how safe it is?
So, very very good question, and we get that from a lot of our existing user base, correct as well. Known people who are like, but how are you storing my card? One word answer, and I'll explain it to you a little more. Is the one word answer is I don't store your card at all. Okay, so rest assured, I don't have access to any of your cards. Now, what you before, and I don't want to try and make this too technical, but however, users need to understand what the structure of a card number is. Correct. The structure of a card number is typically split as the first 6 digits,
Okay.
the next 4 digits, correct, and then there is the last 6 digits. The first 6 digits are typically what's called a BIN, bank identification number, in a credit card. And that, if you actually take your card, if you have an Amazon ICICI, and I have one as an example, the first six will be the same, whether you believe it or not.
Okay.
It will be the same. That is because it is nothing but a unique identifier for whether the card is being routed through Visa, Master, what have you, and if it's issued by ICICI, what have you, and whether this is an ICICI Gold or HDFC Platinum or an SBI Aurum, what have you. All
Right.
that we are doing is we've built an intelligent system in partnership with an RBI authorized entity, where if you we only take the first 6 digits. On the fly, we are resolving this as the type of card, and the last four, we give an option, but that's purely to the user. You can put a dummy number for all we care because we are absolutely not storing anywhere anything, right? That's only your reference. This is what my card is, what have you. You could choose to put 000. It will not impact your application or outcome. The
Okay.
first six though matters. And the first six in our system then get stored as, against Prasad, let's assume you're a user, it gets stored as SBI Aurum user or a HDFC Platinum user or an Amazon ICICI user, and we have our ML and AI, which is reading the deals based on that type of card by name and matching it to you by name against the card in your profile, and then it's doing the roller for you, and all that in seconds. You don't even realize how this thing works, but that's exactly the logic. And I'm actually spilling my secret sauce here, which I shouldn't be doing, but heck, we even if somebody, right, and we are using state of the art technology, we are using state of the art enterprise cloud, we are using appropriate certificates, we are using encryption 256, all of the good thing. Nevertheless, if that one occasion where somebody hacks into my DB, they will get nothing about it.
Wow.
Nothing. So far.
So yeah, I mean, this is obvious question, and I'm glad that you answered it so well in detail that people have nothing to worry about, even if they are giving their details.
Yeah.
And my next question to you is regarding credit cards. Also, recently government has announced that there is credit card and UPI linkage right now happening. So what is the impact of this in whole e-commerce game?
Yeah, I think this is a great move because one of the pains that users have today is maintaining their wallet everywhere they go. So this will completely eliminate the need to have a wallet with you. Right, you can just use your phone everywhere you go.
Right,
Secondly, credit card penetration is also very low in India. It's at I think 3%, and this will definitely encourage use of credit card. And for the wise user, who knows to use the credit card well, they can really take advantage of this option. One, it brings convenience. Secondly, these credit cards have these attractive offers which can save extra money for them. Everybody thinks credit card is a money spending machine, but in
right,
reality, credit card, if you use it wisely, it can save you a lot of money.
right,
You just have to make sure to pay your credit card bills on time, right? So I think the UPI introduction of UPI for credit card is a huge advantage, and it will definitely help users. It will help with the penetration.
right, right. And you talked about penetration. So now I want to bring in the aspect of rural and urban India, because most of the companies, most of the startups, they focus on solving the problem of urban India. And in your case also, I would like to know, like, how big is the market of rural India for e-commerce segment, considering all the ifs and buts of all the supply chain and all those things. So tell us, like, what is the scenario right now in e-commerce for particularly rural India?
So if you look at the existing market in rural India, it is ideally clear, unfortunately, that while a big chunk of the population of India still resides in parts of rural India, not even the e-commerce giants are necessarily targeting delivery to those regions. If you live in certain parts of rural India, you cannot get service from Amazon, Flipkart, what have you, unfortunately, right?
Right,
However, with the ever evolving enhancements, thanks to the Indian government stand in terms of information technology and access and all that kind of stuff that's being propagated, right? That is slowly changing. It
right,
is it's absolutely not something that can change at a rapid pace because of the volume of users, right?
right,
Look, internet today can become available to several people. It has become available to rural India as well,
right,
thanks to plans like all the new age in mobile plans across any provider for that matter, 2 GB per day, 3 GB per day, blah blah blah, and the cost of data as well with the times. India, by the way, is one of the cheapest internet services you can find in the world, one of the cheapest. And I've lived across multiple places in the world, right? India is by far the cheapest, to a point where I even wonder how they're able to pull it off. Right? So, and the government, for example, I was surprised very recently, right? When you wait at a train station, and this was a rural train station I was waiting at one day, that had railway internet
oh,
in conjunction with Google. So the government of India is taking several stances to improve that. The Google Fi, the balloon-based internet, that's available, which is supplying to our railway stations and whatnot. But
right,
anyway, just straight to your question, it is a problem. However, there are steps that the government is taking. There are opportunities. The newer generation of people have a little better affordability than the past generation. Right today, you can get a internet-based mobile phone starting from 5,000 rupees. You can get a mobile internet plan starting at 120 rupees a month, and that kind of money is become affordable to Tom, Dick, Harry, and his grandmother. Right? Yeah,
right,
everybody today, right? It doesn't matter. So eventually, I think the adoption will grow. This has to be supported by um, the e-commerce outlets, and some of the moves that the government is making already, like ONDC, etc., is going to change that, because they're going to allow several players in the e-commerce industry that can now target only rural market, which is now going to become a big balloon.
right, right.
So it's a step, it's a process,
Yeah,
but it's a journey that started. It's a rolling stone, and
yeah.
eventually it will catch on.
And I'm glad that you mentioned ONDC, because my next question to you is regarding that only.
Oh,
So,
okay.
government is taking on this big firm, Amazon, Flipkart, and they are trying to create a level playing field for small players. So, for Prizwiz point of view, and for all small players in this e-commerce segment, how do you look at this move from the government?
I think this is a great move, positive move by the government, because they're enabling a lot of retailers uh, across India. They're also giving options to users to choose from, so they don't have to depend on one large e-commerce player anymore. They can go to their local retailer, buy it the same way they would do with any large e-commerce player.
Right.
Now, definitely, we do see some hurdles on how they are able to achieve it. In terms of how they make the platform easy to use. With so much information, so much data, end of the day, you want to make sure that the user is able to quickly find out what they want,
Right.
and make the decision quickly and be able to move on. Right? You cannot hold the user on for a long time trying to search for the right product.
Right.
So that is one aspect which is going to be interesting to see. I'm sure the government is thinking about all of that. And then the other part is just making sure everybody participates.
Right.
Everybody feels comfortable. The users see the trust in these small time players who are coming on board, and how government takes efforts to build that trust. What is that backing they are able to provide to say, okay, you can buy from this retailer and we will back you for that. Right. So
Right.
those two things would be interesting to see. From a Prizwiz point of view, I think Prizwiz is unique, and I think we can definitely extend some of our features to ONDC, right? Where our aim has been that when a user comes to the platform, they shouldn't be spending more than a minute in the
Right.
platform, right? They'll be able to quickly find what they want. They will know exactly what they need, exact price, what they get, that is unique to them, and they should be able to check out and move on, right? And we can probably offer some of this technology to ONDC to say, hey, if the user had these cards, these are the offers that you can integrate and potentially enable those local retailers as well, and give the users the benefit that we are trying to give. So
Yeah.
it is exciting.
Great, great, great. Now, I want to talk about the technological front, which is trying to solve this problem of monopoly. So there is new thing. I believe it is very growing in China. Is live commerce, and many influencers are attached to it. So I want to know, like in India, still it is in initial stage. What do you views on that part, live commerce?
So live commerce, if you just think about it, has existed in multiple avatars over the years. Back in the days, you used to have this tele shopping network thingies, which
Yeah.
is television. And that was live commerce for all you know, right? It's just a fancy term today, but this has just existed. I mean, there's an advert on TV, they give you a landline number, pick up your phone, call the landline number, place your orders. That was live commerce of the past.
Yeah.
With the ever evolving technologies now, people are bringing that into handheld devices and what have you, and also basically now with advents in technology like AR, VR. So today, you don't have to necessarily walk into a showroom to identify how a furniture might look in your living space. You
Right.
just have to pick up your phone, open your AR application, scan the room, and put that piece of furniture in there, and you will say, ah, okay, this is how it's going to look. Does it fit with my environment? What have you? That technology is already come, correct?
Yes.
And that's available and being actively utilized in several other parts of the world. As with several things, the adoption and the rate of adoption of these things will take a slight bit of a time to catch up in India. But the one thing about India is once it starts to catch up, it will become a viral effect.
Yeah.
People will just take to it like nobody, right? I mean, it's just gonna go viral. Is our perception, and that's just like I said. It's just how e-commerce has grown. The evolution of e-commerce is going to be live commerce. And by the time live commerce becomes a household entity or a name actively utilized in India, we also think the ONDC would have caught up. So that will help offset some of the monopoly that Chinese companies or brands will try and bring in.
Yeah.
Because you would then have local players who have access to these AR, VR tools and anything else that they needed to sell the solution. Correct?
Right.
And so that I think the pace at which live commerce will pick up and become a household thing, and the pace at which ONDC will grow, I think will actually balance each other out and offset any risk of us being tanked by a different economy
Right.
or monopoly for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And just to add a quick point, in both those scenarios, the user pain point that we are trying to address is still there. We are trying to get the user the price that is unique to them. integrated with the card offers that they might hold. And so in both those scenarios that would exist, and Prizwiz can play a key role in helping the users.
Yeah. No, that's a great initiative from you. Now I want to move on to the next segment of this show where I want to know about your personal life. And this is one of my favorite questions which I ask to all the founders because everyone is building great business, doing great stuff. But I want to know like how do you manage your personal and professional life because that part is no one like it's not visible to the outside world.
Right. Right. No, great question. Great question. Look, unfortunately, where we are today, look, a startup is your life dream, right? You don't work in a startup. You live it.
Right.
Right. The joke probably in at the home is I talk to Shiv more than I ever talk to my wife, and has been the case for the last 1.5 years, right? Unfortunately, you do have to go through with that journey as a startup founder, right? Burning the midnight oil, working 18, 20 hours a day is all part of being startup,
Right.
unfortunately, correct? But the good thing, if anything, of the pandemic is the fact that we've been operating remotely. The kids have been schooling remotely, so at least the fact that everybody is still in one room of theirs in the house, we still at least get to have a family lunch or a family dinner and catch up with them in the evening because the travel times, transit times, and all of that kind is reduced. And again, thanks to the pandemic, because many of these physical classes, etc., got cut down. Kids were still taking online classes for computers or what have you at home and all that. So, you keep bumping into each other in the house, and that's helped somehow bridge that balance, at least in my case. And that's how we've been managing the last 1.5 years. But I'll let Shiv share his view as well.
Sure, sure. I mean, so for us, a startup is no less than building a house, right? When you're building a house, there is the initial period where there is a lot of work going on. There is a lot of effort. Everybody is trying to make sure everything goes right, right?
Right.
And everybody has a role to play. I mean, it's just not me and Pradeep. It's also a family who is backing us. I mean, I used to be helping my wife with some of the household chores. Now I've stopped doing all of that because I have this reason called I'm in a startup. But she has not hesitated to take on that extra work, look after the kids, and also take on the household work. She does groceries sometime, right? So it's a team effort, and I think we're all team players. And so far we've been able to get along well. Except for the fact that, as Pradeep mentioned, me and Pradeep talk more than I talk to my own wife. So there's a little bit of a gripe there. But I think that's the life of an entrepreneur. You just have to make some sacrifices in
Yeah.
order to achieve something. And then once you have achieved something, I mean, your wish is to share, right? I mean, you build a house, you want to live it with your family. Same way, once you achieve something, you just share it with everyone around you. So ultimately, it'll be a happy ending.
Yeah, and you put it so nicely. It's a team effort, not only with the team that you're working, but also the team that is at your home. So
Right,
Absolutely.
yeah. So and
right.
next question I want to ask both of you is like, and I again ask this question to all the founders, like what motivates you to do what you do every day? Because there may be someone or some place or some event or some book, something that motivates you to do what you do. So I would like to know what is that in your case?
Yeah. So in my case, I come from a very small village, a small village near a town named Uti. It is a hill station in the south. In our village, there are about 200 plus houses. And for many of them in that village, entrepreneurship is a far-fetched dream, right? It just stays a dream for their entire life. And I wanted to change that. I wanted to change. I wanted to show to them that entrepreneurship is possible. If you have the willpower, if you have the determination to go after something, go after your dream, you should do it, right?
Right.
And this was my dream to become an entrepreneur, and that was the clear motivation. I mean, Pradeep mentioned it in the beginning. We had some very well paying jobs for ourselves, right?
Right.
We were in the US. I was in the US. Pradeep was in Dubai, and for us to leave those comforts, come back and try something needs a lot of courage, a lot of and And that courage comes because you have it in your mind saying, I want to do something. I want to do something for myself, but more than that, I want to do something for the people. I want to build something that people can connect with and people can recognize or relate you with. So that is what we are trying to do.
Wow.
Yeah, and in my case, it is well. I've held significant roles with accountability working for enterprises. Now, there's always this thought about if you're able to do something for an enterprise, you should be able to do something of your own as well, right? Obviously, the risk is there is no falling cushion. I mean, you drive an initiative. If it backfires and there's financial loss, you still have an enterprise behind you. Now it's your money at stake, right? And what does it take to experience that risk is really my driving force. And coupled with what Shiv said, right? One of my biggest driving forces is we wanted to do something for the community.
Right.
Today, we are startuppreneurs ourselves. We're going through the journey, but where we want to land is basically becoming angel investors or people that are going to mentor startuppreneurs or new young entrepreneurs of the future. I think the future lies in ensuring we are building entrepreneurs in this
Right.
country, right? That's how you stop brain drain. That's how you stop dependency on other countries. And we have all the power. We have all the knowledge in this country, correct? It just lacks certain support ecosystems. There are several support ecosystems that have cropped up in since at least 2018 or whatnot, right? There are some incubation VCs and all that kind of stuff. They're offering fantastic support, right? Fantastic support. And then we eventually want to basically be able to do something for the society. Today we are trying to help the people with a product which is going to help them save. We are trying to hit the masses. We are trying to make this a fair play. Tomorrow we want to be on the other side. We want to create new generation of startups.
Wow.
That's my goal, right?
Very nice. I mean, and this next, my last question to you, I think you have answered some part of it, but this question is from the young entrepreneurs who want to do something but they don't know where to start. So, what will be your advice? Like, what as a startup founders, as someone who has worked with the technology space, someone who has worked with the marketing and sales space for such a long duration. So, what message you would like to give to all youngsters who don't know where to start?
The point really is what every startup deserves is basically three things, right? It deserves a problem statement. It's not. I happen to be on one of the sessions where some industry stalwarts, and it stuck to me like glue. Right? It's basically said, you don't create a solution and force fit it to a problem.
Yeah.
Today, blockchain is doing so well. I'll create a blockchain-based application and I will force fit it to the ecosystem. That's never going to work, right?
Right.
You find your purpose, find a problem, evaluate and validate. Is this genuinely the problem?
Right.
What is the what is the depth of the problem? How many lives am I going to touch? So the first one, find your problem, find your calling,
Right.
find a right solution with perseverance. You think and evaluate how many lives are you going to touch? How many people would eventually want to use this?
Right.
Correct. And three, basically, how am I going to go ahead and make this happen? You can make it happen in a small scale. You can make it happen in a large scale. Eventually, what matters down to is perseverance and the fire to go make it happen.
Right.
Right? Dreaming is one thing. Ideation is one thing. The guts to go ahead, bite the bullet, and do it is another.
Right.
Having said that, we are actually surprised that a lot of young generation, right? We consider ourselves old in the 40s today. I mean, the young generation, right out of college, we find them far more gutsy. I find people actually just young startup owners like top brands. Let's take an example like a Zepto. The founders are 19 and 21, I
Yeah.
reckon. Fantastic story there, right? I think we need more of that. I think we need more of that.
Right.
And there are now, the good thing is India is becoming one of the largest startup hubs and ecosystems in the world. There are so many of the VCs that are building incubators to help these kind of people. The support system's coming. So before you approach one of those, so the support system slowly getting into place. And it
Yeah.
will just get added with more and more seasoned startuppreneurs joining that kitty. Three things, just remember, right? If you find a problem, and the problem is genuinely going to touch lives, and it has definitely got a potential where you're very clear that it's gonna go hit, it is absolutely a problem worth pursuing. So please
Yeah.
go after the problem. That's my advice. But Shiv,
Oh,
Yeah, I'd just like to add a little bit. I think Pradeep said it really well. Startup is a challenging journey. It's like an emotional roller coaster. You would have some days the highs of the highs, some days you'd have lows of the lows. You would feel like, why am I in this business? Why am I even doing this? Right? Some days you'll feel like, oh wow, everything is going awesome. I just need to keep at it, right? So it's about drawing the right energy from the right moments. When you're at the high, get the positive energy in. When you're in the low, try to compensate that negative energy, right? And keep going. And it's not about going in straight line. You can go any direction you want, but just keep making progress.
yeah.
This again I heard in a session, but that really struck me, saying you just have to keep making progress. It doesn't matter if you go in a straight line or if you go zigzag, but just keep making progress. So I would just advise any startup preneur to get started. It's not going to be easy, but remember there is an end goal that you need to hit. It's like climbing Mount Everest. Not everybody can go and climb Mount Everest unless you give it a try. And those who try are looking to
Wow.
hit the peak, right? Hit the top. So
Wow.
keep at it.
Definitely. I mean, those youngsters watching and definitely benefit from your thoughts, and it will help definitely to the people who are struggling to initiate their idea, to initiate their whatever they're planning in their life. And I'm really happy that you guys joined me on Sunday uh, for this Sunday startup show. And the idea behind this whole episode, whole this initiative is to help the young entrepreneurs who are into this space and who are struggling with questions in their mind and they don't have answers to the questions. So yeah, thank you again for joining me with on the show.
thank you,
Yeah,
Prasad.
thank you, and create great group for doing something like this, because this is something that startups really need. That initial support in building brand awareness and
Right.
communicating our vision to the audiences. So
Yeah.
thank you for arranging this, and
Yeah,
glad
we
we
look
were.
forward to meeting again in future.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds good.
sure, sure.
Great, great.
Thank
Thank you
you.
guys. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank
Bye.
you. Have a
Yeah,
good day.
bye.